What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be pairing two of my favorite weapons in this game against each other. We're going to be taking the L-Star and the Mastiff, and we're going to decide between all of us which one is better. Take your own experience into account, take this video into account, and tell me what you guys think of each one. So with that, let's get into it, and we're going to start off with the Mastiff. The Mastiff is a shotgun. If you're not familiar with it, the only other comparisons can be a Mozambique and an EVA H shotgun. Like a traditional shotgun, it's going to perform best in close quarter combat. That's not to say this thing doesn't have some range to it if you manage to lead it correctly as well as land some headshots. But the best thing to do is to get somebody right up close and personal. That's why this is one of my favorite guns to take into close quarter combat and any kind of indoor fight. I did not mean to grab onto that Titan. Coincidentally, if you go into the options, there is a global way to make it so you always have to press to get onto a Titan, or you can ask it to just prompt you when you're jumping onto a friendly Titan, which is the problem I just had there. This is probably one of the best areas on this map to be running it because again, it brings you into that close quarter combat and people don't have any choice but to face you in that environment. It's kind of like SCORCH. You can't play SCORCH just anywhere in the map. It's going to shine in smaller areas and confined spaces, just like the Mastiff. So you're going to notice I'm going to take a quick peek. Yeah, that's definitely a guy holding a Spitfire. And right now I'm trying to make a decision. Do I want to put myself in that position where I can get gunned down like a fish in a barrel? Or am I going to follow CC, who just went all in with his nitros? That's the Spitfire guy. So the only way to get around those two things are either smart positioning or speed. You choose. So whichever route you take, try to exploit one of those things. Either you're moving very fast so you can cut the distance, or you're making people come into close quarter combat. Amped weapons goes out of style for me until I use certain guns. I found that the L-Star really benefits, and so does the Mastiff. And most of you may be saying to yourselves that doesn't every gun benefit? It's like, yes, but I think that these guns in particular and some of the others benefit more. One of the things for the L-Star, which we'll talk about in the other video, is that it gives you an instant reload on a gun that takes forever. With the Mastiff, it ups its consistency because now you're able to get those one-shot kills more consistently up close, but also at medium to long range. Here's another trick, which I'm not sure if it's a Mastiff trick or a grapple trick, because you can see that I shot twice there and then still needed a third one. See, that's a consistency issue. If you engage and disengage the hook quickly, you can shoot your Mastiff again. So it really depends. If you're actually faster with your grapple than you are at shooting, you can use that trick to rapid fire your Mastiff. It's a trick that takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's definitely one of the strongest tricks that you can do in order to get more out of your Mastiff. There is that double reload where you have to reload it from the top. If you have slow reload on, then that one takes forever. I actually ended up changing my build to go to quick reload. That just means after every shot, get into the habit of reloading instead of having more in the chamber to begin with the extended mags. And I just want to take a quick tangent, but have you guys noticed a difference in your connections? And I don't mean how long it takes for you to load into a game. I usually find it's pretty quick because I main attrition. But actually your ping, do you find that it's a lot higher? Because I find that I'm lagging a lot. This is right now conspiracy time, where we talk about them stealing the old Titanfall servers for the new game. Is that what's going on? Is it time to put on my tinfoil hat or take it off? I don't know which one. Let's see what comes Monday. Last tip for the Mastiff, it's good to pair it up with a laser because you want to be able to at least have some range. And this is the same thing I do with any gun that I don't think is going to carry me very well in long distance. Every time I kill somebody with a laser when they're far away with the G2, I feel like a boss, and the thing is, it's actually super practical. I think a lot of people now know that it's a serious secondary. Anyways, it's time for some L-Star action. So first let me warm up, because I think that the L-Star is one of those guns where you need to get into the mindset of it before you start holding down the trigger, because once you do that, you're not letting go. That's just the way this gun works. It's one of the most unique guns in this game. It's actually one of the most unique guns I've seen in any first-person shooter. That's why I expect that a lot of people are not familiar with it, because holding the trigger down with this gun is a way of life. Like, literally, life and death is at that pull of the trigger, because it suffers from a couple of weaknesses. One is a slow wind-up, and it even has an animation at the end that slows you down further on your next shot. So not only does it take forever to get the first shot off, it's still a projectile weapon, which means it has travel time, which just means it takes that much longer to kill somebody. And sometimes killing somebody means you overload this gun and eventually you have to reload it. I'm gonna hold here. Good thing Titanfall has multi-stage reloading animations, which means that every time I jumped off of the wall, I was able to get a little bit closer to my reload. I'm gonna take that kill and the freebie it came with because I'm so proud of that dodge. You see how I'm shooting the wall as I'm turning? You're not going to be doing this with any other gun, it just doesn't make sense to be losing out on the bullets. But with the L-Star, that's what you want to use your large energy pool for. It's actually not as much as you'd think because you're pre-shooting and usually you're going to end up overspraying because it has travel time to secure the kill. There's nothing that can hit me except for a punch. I'm ready for it. Okay, I wasn't ready for an execution from behind, but I got Mystery Melon. He's my hero. Even doing it with the Mastiff. The good thing about the L-Star is you can start spraying it early, but I don't know if it's actually a good idea because do I really want him to know where I am before I get into range, which again to me is usually medium. And the thing about the L-Star is that you need to pre-shoot it in close quarters if you want to win, but it also gives away your position so badly. Like every time you shoot this thing, it's a flare, everybody sees it. And I've tried this gun at long distance and it's not its strength, not at all. And that's pretty much for all the projectile weapons except for the Kraber or the double take. So this is me trying it out, I'm not even close. Is it doable? Yeah, but is it practical? No. And that's where you're going to be having some problems with the L-Star when people start camping up or being defensive. It's hard to move in with an L-Star because it practically has no effect at long range to players that are moving, which is good if they're a stationary camper, but if they're a camper that likes to move or is just decently aware, you're not going to be able to finish them off with a projectile like the L-Star at long distance. I also ended up putting my grenade on, and I haven't done that forever, but I found that I needed it because when people were camping back, it's one reliable way I know how to get rid of campers. It's also pretty strong in close quarters where this gun struggles. Medium distant it does pretty good. Look at the pre-shot. You have to pre-shoot this thing, and if you overload it, that's where the amped weapons come in because the reload time on the L-Star is huge. And again, I do recommend the extended mags because you have to be able to hold down this trigger in a pinch. Running out of ammo on this gun is not an option, and considering how many bullets it takes not only to kill but also just to activate and start pre-shooting, and again shooting after because you're not guaranteed to get the kill all the time. This is the one gun that before I'd expect a kill and then I would let go of the trigger and they'd still be alive. And if you want to shoot again, it's like, it's not happening because that wind up time again after that little animation where the shooting stops, it takes forever to get going again. But there is a couple of things that one weapon does better than the other. Obviously the L-Star has more range than the Mastiff, but the Mastiff is going to be a little bit easier to use up close versus the L-Star, which completely sucks up close. The L-Star again is in that mid distance. The Mastiff can go from close to medium a little bit better than I'd say the L-Star can go from medium to short or to long. I think both of them suck at long range. They're not reliable. They give your position away, not the best. The L-Star, however, is quite good at getting rid of minions, regardless of what you see here. I just like this clip because it looks cool. But if you keep your distance, you're going to do pretty well with the L-Star because for one, they're not really dodging you like pilots would be, which means you're going to actually be able to use your bullets effectively. And since your bullets are giant pink beach balls, it's easy to hit them, you get a lot of them, and it scales really well against Reapers as well. So it takes out Grunts, Spectres, Sentries, Reapers. It does really well. The Mastiff, on the other hand, does not hold its own weight. For some reason, it just does really low damage. I'll just let you guys see it for yourselves. He's laughing at me. After he does a little spin, shows off, flexes, yeah, I just got wrecked. And while the Mastiff is still pretty good at taking out Grunts and Spectres and those kind of things, if they start spreading out and you have to start individually shooting them, you kind of lose out because you have a low rate of fire and a slow reload. So that's why it doesn't really compare to the L-Star that can still deal with that. Plus, unlike the other weapons, when you're shooting AI, usually you'll have something left over if a pilot tries to jump you. With another gun, usually you're going to be caught with a reload if you take out a pack of Grunts. And a lot of people don't take Grunts seriously. Some of you just scoff at them, but they are actually the top tier way to build up your Titan meter, your boost, and just win games. So we can't leave its ability to clear Grunts and AI off the table when we're judging how good a gun is. That's one of the things that actually makes Grenadiers really strong. The Cold War is really strong because you're probably going to be able to take a pack of AI faster than any other weapon. Plus, it keeps you in a safe area because you don't have to just stand there and shoot. You blast off once with a well-placed shot between the pack, and they're all gone. Pre-shooting, nothing there. When I really start getting into this gun, I'm pre-shooting so much that it starts looking stupid, but that's what you have to do. And the thing is, you're not used to it because you're just not going to be using a weapon that requires that in this game. Try to pre-shoot a Cold War and you'll probably end up suiciding yourself. I wanted to go for a grapple, but this guy's not feeling it. By the time I even have a chance to respond to him shooting me, like, I'm dead, right? Because that wind-up, it's just not going to happen. If you're trying to take an even gunfight, it's not going to work. You need to pre-fire this thing, or you need to have really good mobility so you're throwing off their aim. Either way, I think using either of these guns is going to make you a better player. Which one's better depends on the map and how you're going to play it. But of course, there's nothing that's going to make your gameplay better than just having overall speed. That's what all these guns teach you over hit scans. Plus, it takes you out of your comfort zone, which to me has always been one of those things that makes me bring up my game. You don't want to be caught doing the same thing. That's why even things like breaks are actually really good for you, because it gives you a fresh sense of how you're going to approach things instead of being up in the same rut. You have to actively think about these things if you actually want to change. But that's pretty much the end of this episode. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Leave a like. I want to hear what you guys have to say about these weapons. I would love if you guys can vote. What do you like more, the Mastiff? Do you like the L-Star? And yes, I did hear about this Battle Royale Titanfall game coming out. I didn't want to talk about it because, to be honest, nobody's saying anything new. There's just not much to go on. So instead of speculating, I'm just going to wait for Monday to come. I have no idea what to expect either. I just hope it has the same mechanics in regards to the emphasis on speed. I don't want to see it be really dumbed down and just be like COD. But we're going to leave the rest of that discussion for Monday if something actually drops. So I may be seeing you guys sooner than next Sunday, because if there's a new Titanfall, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to have to give it a go. But again, thank you all for joining me. Let's call it. For this last kill, I'm going to try to use Phase Rewind. I misjudged. I wasn't sure where this guy was going to end up. I ended up looking down when he was almost straight ahead. So the idea is that I end up grappling him after putting myself in eye level with him, but didn't work out. But if you can pull this trick off, send it to me and I'll feature it in a video.